Howdy guys. Today I'm going to be talking about the feasibility and economic reality of microalgae biofuels. Just to give an intro and a background to microalgae biofuels, it can also be called algal biofuels. They're a response to an addition of the worldwide search for renewable resources. Many proposed biofuels are actually unable to be scaled to a global level, just because of the sheer amount of work that it takes to extract the resources. Scientists propose algal biofuels as a solution to scalability road bumps, similar to the ones that prevent so many other biofuels from being largely implemented. In terms of means of growth, microalgae are single-cellular organisms that are bred in laboratories to maximize efficiency in the production of advantageous mutants. So the scientists can actually produce the kind of microalgae that's ideal for biofuels, and that helps them be more efficient in their synthesis process. Algal biofuels also have the upper hand over plant harvested fuels because of their reproductive abilities, being speed and control over reproduction. In terms of means of fuel production, microalgae undergoes alcoholic fermentation to extract lipids, which are high in energy, and biodiesel, and microalgae also undergo alcoholic fermentation to extract carbohydrates for bioethanol. Two different types of fuel, burned and combusted differently, but to achieve the same purpose. In terms of the developmental status of microalgae biofuels or algal biofuels, there is currently no mutant microalgae feasible enough to scale algal biofuels to a global level. They're simply just not efficient enough to outweigh the costs. We'll talk about the costs a little bit later, but they're largely unavailable compared to other fuels and biofuels on the market. In terms of the carbon footprint of algal biofuels, less land is used to harvest the algae since it's grown in liquids. Algae can also be harvested in streams to be bioengineered in labs, so you don't actually have to grow things in terms like a field if you're doing some kind of corn-based ethanol fuels or things like that. CO2 mitigation by a strain of mutant allows for minimal carbon footprint, so you can actually bioengineer different types of microalgae to emit less CO2 when the fuel is burned, which is also an advantage to laboratory-bred microalgae. The bad news is the economic impact of algal biofuels. Unfortunately, algal biofuels are $300 to $2,600 per barrel, compared to the $40 to $80 price per barrel of petroleum, which is extremely expensive in terms of fuel. Simply not economically viable at this point of development. More efficient mutagens may increase effectiveness, lowering the cost, but they just have not been widely available or found out yet. Communication efforts. Unfortunately, there's no found efforts to excite the public about algal biofuels. Algae may have a negative perception as trashy or dirty. A lot of people see algae as a problem, and that could help, or that could hurt the press, give it negative press. There's also no public superpower that has made an attempt to market algal biofuels, so there's no accredited advertising agency that has made any attempt, as far as my research goes, to market the fuel truly. And there's also a lack of development and pessimism from engineers from the academic articles that I've consumed. My thoughts on algal biofuels: I believe there's much potential. One man's trash is another man's superfuel. It's just a way of summarizing the way I think about it personally. And I believe with more marketing, we can produce more funds for research, which will allow us to find an ideal mutagen that will make it more efficient and cheaper than petroleum. In terms of an action plan, I believe that first we should invest in mutagens. A mutagen that can consistently produce an effective algae mutant could change the world. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, an ideal mutant that could be cheaper and more efficient could be completely market shifting. And speaking of marketing, an investment in marketing, the more the public is invested in the fuel of the future, I put that in quotes, the more external funding and support algal fuels will receive. Here are my sources, 2 articles that I read to gather this information, and thanks for watching.